Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Can Falcons be a competitive outfit this upcoming season? That's certainly what KiSMET believes, having rounded out that team over the last week or so. He compares, as an SMG player at least, what it's like to play against Cellium, his new main AR, compared to playing against Dashy on the OpTic side. Kis believes for a couple of reasons Cellium is harder to play against. Does that give Falcons a serious advantage into the upcoming season, or is that not the case at all? Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, just to mention, as a recording, I know I've said this a few times over the last few weeks, but it is still doing the rounds in the community, so I'm going to mention it again because this tweet got 105,000 views or whatever yesterday. Because lots of OpTic fans, they want to know. Maybe by the time this video is coming up, there's been some sort of announcement, but this tweet on trust the process, come in September. Now we're middle of October, wondering when's it going to be. Look, it does make sense to drop it around about now. It's understandable that if it wasn't ready for the end of September, it does make sense to hold off, right? Because the end of September, that was COD Next, then the beta came out, so it was all the talk about BO7. It wouldn't have made sense to drop it then. So it's either look, you do it at the end of September, or you wait until at least mid-October to bring it out as well. It's just surprised some people that there's not been, as I say, at least at the recording, any announcement as to, okay, when it's going to happen or whatever, but look, it is what it is. It will arrive at some point, I imagine. Battlefield 6, I think, officially came out yesterday, so was definitely turning a few heads. We know that the guys played the beta a little while ago. There's been lots of talk. There's been lots of crossover between Black Ops 7, of course, and the Battlefield 6 beta. We know that some of the decisions they've made with Black Ops 7 have been inspired by the competition, let's be honest, from Battlefield 6. And, well, Octane says it's not playable for me on EA or Steam's solid release, and there were loads of people in the replies who were, gassing up Battlefield 6, basically sounds like a you issue, whatever, and basically a lot of Battlefield fans who in the replies to all the COD fans saying, you're a clown, you don't know what you're talking about, right, and all this stuff. They're trying to compete with COD at all levels. It's actually pretty funny. So, yeah, Octane was in the replies, and there's a good little community war going on right now, really, between Battlefield 6 and Black Ops 7, the COD fans versus the Battlefield fans, and you love to see, right, this is what it's all about. And if there's competition between different franchises, it's better for the players almost always, and I think we're seeing that a little bit at the moment anyway, certainly for what we think the competitive scene's going to be. We saw a similar thing here with Nade Shots. He was talking about weapon camos. He was like, look, if I get 1,000 headshots, I like to get my gold camo, and there were loads of replies saying, oh, go play COD then, bro. It's annoying when these guys play. So anyway, there were loads of interesting replies here. I thought that there's the drama between Battlefield fans and COD fans is back, and I think it's probably good for everyone involved in the medium term. Quickly on Black Ops 7, I know that ZooMaa was giving his thoughts on some of Neptune's movement. We did see some pretty disgusting clips of Neptune over the last couple of days, and I don't know if there's going to be any changes expected when the full game comes out. I mean, we know, realistically speaking, that whatever happens in the beta is just the same game as when it comes out for real. We think they're making some changes. They've talked about the aim assist, of course, the skill-based matchmaking and other things. There's plenty of new maps, of course, that will arrive when the game comes out for real as well. But I don't know if they're necessarily going to look to make any changes to the movement, and maybe nor should they. But time will tell whether it goes too far or whether it's about right. ZooMaa even did talk about the anti-cheat as well, because, I mean, Ricochet anti-cheat did say, now they also say that they were doing a better job eliminating the cheaters, right? They mentioned how at the start of the beta, there were roughly 2%, 2.5% of games had a cheater in, and they'd cut that down by half by the end of the beta, which is actually pretty impressive because you kind of expect it to go the other way, right? Like BO7 comes out for the beta, you'd expect it to take a couple of days for the cheaters to make the cheats, but actually it looks like the anti-cheat was actually kind of working. I don't want to hold out too much hope here, but after years of talking about Ricochet and that they're going to invest and make it better and catch the cheaters and all this, we also know, I mean, I think Fortnite did this, didn't they? Did they not have some guy who played in a tournament and cheated, and then they literally took him to court, sued him for all this money, and I don't know if he got sent to jail, but the publishers are able to go hard against cheaters, and we know that they've been trying to tackle and take down and well, not exactly DMCA, but take legal action against cheat manufacturers. And okay, if you download the cheat and you cheat, I don't know whether you're necessarily going to get sent to jail. You probably should. but I don't necessarily think Activision are going to do that. It's more legal actions against the cheat makers, and that's kind of what ZooMaa was getting into here. So the cheat makers may well be going to jail, but you know, if we just pretend that every cheater goes to jail, it's probably better, right? Because then less people might cheat. Now, of course, they probably said this when Ricochet first came out. Did it really do anything? Probably not, but look, it's got a little bit better over time. So intrigued to your thoughts on that. Few clips I wanted to share for you all. I did want to throw this one out there again, just because, well, ZooMaa was talking again about him versus Scrappy. We know that a couple of weeks ago now, he was talking a little bit about who was the better player when they were at their best, and he's now kind of doubled down on that opinion, really, Scrap versus ZooMaa. But also, what did KiSMET have to say on his own new roster? So we know that it's been confirmed that Bulldog is in for the Falcons the upcoming year. It's going to be Pred, who got paid a bag to join the team the middle of last season. XNID is staying there, as we know. That's the SMG duo, we believe. They brought in main AR Cellium, and then they rounded out the team with KiSMET. There were questions as to whether that's really what they wanted to do, if that was their ideal development, because we understand that they wanted aBeZy for some time. We think they were interested in Sib. We're pretty sure that they at least tried to have a conversation with Thieves about getting Scrappy or maybe even HyDra. And those are things that could happen down the line if this team doesn't work. And I do like the KiSMET pickup given the options that maybe were left available, but I don't think that the Falcons and maybe Clayster, given the amount of money at their disposal, I don't think they were necessarily expecting to come out of this Rostermania with this team. I think they were probably expecting to have maybe, you know, 3-star players rather than what feels like 2, as it were. And how's it going to work on this game, right? With Pred's playstyle, with the wall bouncing and all of that type of stuff. Is it going to work with XNID? Well, because last year we saw some glimpses of promise on the SMG side, but I think there are also understandable questions, especially because Pred is no longer he is kind of the face of the team, but this is kind of Cellium's team now, right? Like last year it was Pred's team. But Cellium, to our understanding, is getting paid more money than Pred. So whichever way you kind of slice the cake or whatever, like Cellium is now probably the top dog and probably the decision maker in the immediate term. If the team is not doing well and Cellium wants to do something, his opinion probably gets listened to the most. Now, is that justified? KiSMET believes so, given what he's done against Cellium over the last few years. Of course, KiSMET's an SMG. He's going to have an opinion from an SMG perspective. But I thought his comments here were quite interesting because he was comparing Cellium in terms of how hard he is to play against to Dashy. Now, to be fair, a lot of ARs will say that, yeah, Cellium's really hard to play against because he's so ratty, he's always on a head glitch. KiSMET actually says that he gets a bit mixy, which I'm not sure really aligns with what I tend to see compared to Cellium and Dashy, but at least from KiSMET's perspective, he thinks that Cellium is just as hard, if not harder than Dashy to play against as a sub.
The team is taking an all fronts approach from in-game detections to legal actions against cheat makers and continue to expand protections. Absolutely! You hear that, cheaters? You go to jail, motherfuckers! You go to fucking jail! You know what I mean? Go ahead, cheat in the game, boys. Have fun behind bars. Have fun behind bars, you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Fuck them. You know, absolutely. Who's got the better prime? Me or Ernesto? I'm listening. Guys, when I was in my prime, I was taking down the top 5 to ever play the game, top 10 players to ever play the game. Like, I'm taking down some of the best of the best. The best. You know what I'm saying? Taking it. Like, you make a top 10 all-time list, I've taken down all those players. Except for maybe the terrorists. You know what I'm saying? They were kind of coming in as I was on my way out. You know what I mean? Except for maybe the terrorists. Can't beat John? Not true. We could get my head-to-head versus John. I guarantee you. First of all, you know who teamed with John a lot? Octane. You know what my head-to-head is against Octane? 18-8. We could get my head-to-head versus John. I don't think you guys would think it go, but we could do that. Shotzzy? Guys, why are you saying Scump and Shotzzy? They're not even in the grab. They're not even in the question. They're not even there.
Bruce? Dashy's pretty good. Dashy's weird, though. I don't know. I think I'm going to have different gunfights with him this year. Because Dashy's, like, kind of a hard kill, but, like, it was just different. Like, he was just, like, hard iron, like, in his position. So, like, I oddly wouldn't run into Dashy that much, like, in his, like, gunfight. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, Dashy and FeLo is good. But like you got to think, like I was always a sub, so like the gunfights I would take on them were just way different. That's why I think Cell was one of the hardest ARs to play against, because Cell was like, bro, he would get mixy. He wasn't always just like a hard iron. You know what I'm saying? Like Dashy's like a pretty hard iron player, whereas like Cell is like he will move, he'll snake you, that kind of
So TJ was trying to stir up something here, right? TJ's in the reply saying, at Dashy, personally, Brody, I wouldn't take this one lightly, right? So he was hoping that Dashy would cover the replies and start talking trash. But yeah, maybe Dashy will continue to do his talking on the server, having won back-to-back world championships over the last couple of years. It's an interesting observation, I think, from KiSMET. Of course, he's playing with Cellium, right? He's going to gas him up. That shouldn't come as a massive surprise. But I do think that in terms of, you know, playing for the win, there are questions. Now, yeah, it might be tough as an SMG to play against Cellium, because we know the way that Cellium tends to play. He will drop a better KD than Dashy will. That wasn't always the case. If you go back to Modern Warfare 2, actually no, you go back to Vanguard, that was the crucial season. So that year, I mean, we remember Shotzzy even said it recently that he hated playing with Dashy. Not hated, but I think he did say hated, but he had frustrations playing with Dashy in Vanguard, because Dashy in Vanguard played like Cell, effectively. Wasn't exactly the same, but Cellium ended Vanguard with a 1.24 KD, Dashy ended with a 1.20. They both played a pretty similar style, and Shotzzy's opinion was, you ain't doing that much on the map, Buster. Now that's obviously changed. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, certainly Black Ops 6. Dashy evolved big time as a player, far more objective work, played at a faster pace sometimes as well, or didn't necessarily just play for kills. And Dashy's KD went down. He's gone down last year. I mean, we can even look at some of the numbers here. So Cellium's KD last season with a 1.16, not the best he's ever dropped, but still pretty good. It was the number 1 KD of this season. It says number 2 here. That's because Kicks technically had a 1.19, but he only played a few series. So really that was best KD of the season for Cellium. And Dashy last year had a 1.07, which is, as you can tell, significantly weaker. And that's kind of the number 1.07, 1.1, 1.12. That's kind of the numbers that Dashy has been holding for the last couple of years. But that's been more successful, right? So I think it's interesting because as an SMG or as any player, it may feel more difficult to play against Cellium, right? Like the way that he plays, it's more difficult to kill him. Statistically, it's more difficult to kill him because his KD is better. But is it more difficult to beat him in a map and beat his team? You know, that's another question, right? So I think there's a bit of nuance here. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below anyway, what you think about this, because it is going to be a season where the eyes are going to be on Cellium, right? Now, like, has Cellium made a bad decision taking the mega bag to go to the Falcons? No, I think he's made, in terms of generational wealth, a very sensible decision indeed. But we know what the COD fans will think about it, right? It's like, well, Cell, he could have gone to Thieves, right? Like, Thieves wanted Cellium. This is not a rumor. I mean, it is a rumor, right? But like, it's pretty well known that they spoke to Cellium, they wanted him for some time, then they were interested in Drazah, and then with those options no longer happening, then they went and got Kenny, right? So Cell could have ended up on Thieves, and as a result, the fan perception of this whole situation will be, look, Cell, you know, yeah, you've taken the bag, but is it, you know, is it going to work, right? So he will be under some pressure. There will be some scrutiny on his play this upcoming season. Very much intrigued to your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
New from Pro Toys, it's Ben J, the professional yapper.
Push his hoodie button.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Ben J here.
He walks and talks all by himself on the Ben J route.
Stinky slippers.
Whoa, shoot, that's not me. Okay, maybe.
He even forgets to do his vlogs.
Did I hit record?